Hey everyone, thanks for tuning back in for another episode. We are heading out on the water, so you're joining me. We're gonna do a little fishing. It is a brisk November morning. It's about 30 degrees. Maybe you can see my breath, maybe not, I don't know. My hands are already cold, but we've got here a warm breakfast burrito that Sarah made me, and it is, what's our Yugo time? It's 8:40. So we've got a couple hours to see if we can catch anything. Generally this time of year, I like to head to the Clearwater fisheries just because it's easier to fish those bodies of water. They stay a little bit warmer and the fish seem to respond better than dark water on rivers. But I've got two kids in school and I'm just shuttling back and forth. I've got an 8:30 drop off basically. And then I've got like I pick up around noon and pick up around 3:30. So it really interrupts the day. So we're gonna go out on the river, try to make something happen. I think we're gonna throw that Berkeley money badger again. You know, I fished it for a little over an hour with my boys. If you watch that episode, I'll link that to the end of this one. And hopefully we can catch some more fish on it. You know, I really enjoyed it the little bit I threw it. And I'm excited to try it. I've got a couple of different colors. I might start with that same green craw, orange firetail, I think it was what it was called, but I've got another one here. This is it's a chrome purple. They call it Corey's Candy. It's a chrome purple with a black belly, or a pink belly. I'll show it to you later. But I mean, it's one that mimics the old purple metallic wigglewort. I assume that's why it was maybe made, because that's a fan favorite. A lot of people don't realize that, but in the Ozark world, purple chrome along like bluff walls can be a dynamite killer. So ever since I've known that, I've thrown a lot of purple chrome, especially on the river here, and had a lot of success. So I'm gonna do it again. All right, my hands are getting cold just from holding the camera. We got a little bit of a run to get to our first spot. Let's go head that way. There's one. Walter. Nice Walter. That's a nice walleye for the river. Probably a 17-incher. Not what we're after, but I'll take whatever I can catch today. There it is. Oof. Come here, Smalley. It's a nice chunk on the old money badger. Probably a 16-incher. Cold, fat fish. So this is the 6 1/4 size. They make the money badger in what, 5 different sizes. They got a 4, a number 5, a number 6 1/4, a 6 1/2, and a 6 3/4. And the cool thing with it is, you know, other than the size 4 and 5, which are smaller than say the 6 1/4, the 6 1/2 and 6 3/4 are basically the same size. They're like 1/8 of an inch longer. And they weigh a little bit more though, and that's what gets them down to a little bit deeper depth. So the 3 sizes really are not that that different. You know, in general, you're talking about a bait that's going to run anywhere from about 9 to 13 feet between the 6 1/4 to 6 3/4. So you gain about a foot, you gain a little bit of weight to help with casting distance, and that's really about it. But it is nice to be able to get a bait that runs a little bit deeper but not have to go with a much bigger bait. That's something we don't see much in the crankbait world, and something that I really think is unique about this bait. The size of the 4 and the 5 I think are going to have some really good applications as well. I know the walleye guys have been loving it so far, but I think it's going to be really good for the bass too, when you're talking about, you know, fishing some of those situations where the fish just really want small bait or a finesse type crankbait. I'm excited to use those too. I don't have any of the smaller sizes yet, but I will at some point here. I know I'll be buying some when they eventually come in. Tackle Warehouse has all the colors. You can pre-order. They've had them in and out, so if you get your order in sooner than later, you'll probably be able to pick them up, or you'll get allocated yours a lot sooner than some of the other people who are getting in line towards the end or waiting for it to get fully in stock. The first ones I've bought off Tackle Warehouse, so they have gotten some small allotments in. They just haven't had a whole pile of them yet. From an equipment standpoint, it's pretty basic. I'm throwing one of my custom CB 906 crankbait rods. It's an MHX blank, and then I've just thrown it on here. I've got 12-pound fluorocarbon, 100% Berkeley fluorocarbon, and I'm throwing it on actually a faster gear ratio reel, but I'm not working in this super cold water. I mean, the water is thick, as I like to say. I mean, we're talking about 40-degree water. I'm really just kind of sweeping my rod and then letting the bait pause, and then I pick up my slack. So having a gear ratio reel that super fast versus super slow in this situation really would not change much for me, because I'm using the sweep of my rod to generate those strikes. But I do think having a little bit lighter pound test is better in terms of helping your bait get more motion, as well as getting your bait down a little bit deeper. This money badger, one thing about it too is it dives really deep. For a bait that's got such good hunting action, it gets down to the running depth very quickly, and I'm sure that has something to do with the bill shape. If you see, the bill shape is real wide but then narrows up. It's pretty unusual for a crankbait. I can't think of anything else that has something along those lines. Maybe the old school hot lips are kind of like that. But it seems like that really helps the bait get down, but that also allows it to have that hunting action from side to side. So I'm impressed with it. I can't wait to use it like in the Ozarks region, like when that wigglewort bite starts up, when you're talking about like mid 50-degree water temps on some of that ledge rock stuff, because that's what I'm fishing here. We get a lot of that, we call it river rock here. It's just big boxy chunk rock, you know, it's like squared off almost, and your baits tend to get hung up really good in it if you don't have a bait that hunts really good, because you need a bait that'll hit and actually like try to find the cracks to get out of the jam that it finds itself in, and this bait's done a wonderful job of doing that so far. Comes in a whole pile of different colors, and it's just a unique shaped crankbait. It's something we don't see. It's a different crankbait, and again, I'm just a little bit bummed that I don't get to use it for the next several months. I'm gonna have to wait until springtime to use it, because we're really pushing our luck here. I mean, we'll be iced over probably pretty quick. A lot of the little lakes and backwaters are finding themselves with some skim ice and ice already, so we'll see. Every day I can get out right now is a bonus, is how I look at it. There's one. Not sure what we got. Is that a muskie? Oh. It was toothy critter, a big pike. Pike likes the money badger. It's a nice one. It's a nice pike. Probably not what we're after. Wow, that water is cold. One key thing to remember anytime you're fishing super cold water, doesn't really matter if it's the springtime or winter or late fall, is to find those objects that are going to produce heat. You know, in this case, this is just a cement bridge, but it's been exposed to the sun all morning, and it's going to be, you know, producing heat that should draw fish to it. Now, most of the fish this time of year are going to be in their wintering phase, but if there's any active fish that are up shallow, that's the type of thing that they're going to be looking for. You know, just like that one smallmouth we caught, that was off of a seawall that was absorbing heat, and that fish was just glued right to it. So it's something to keep in mind anytime you're fishing. Ideally, if you want to fish relatively shallow, you know, in the late fall or early winter, you want to either stay close to objects that are going to produce a bunch of heat, or you want to be close to deep water. And generally speaking, that's what you want, is it, you know, to be close to the deep water and objects that produce heat. So pretty much everything I've fished today has been exposed to the sun, whether it's like an object like this that's out of the water, or a shallow rock flat that butts up to deep water. Those are the key pieces of structure to be fishing this time of year. All right, everyone, that's it. I gotta go pick Duke up from school. It's about what, 11:23. I don't want to be late for that, so it is what it is. I actually think the bite's starting to pick up, even though the water is so cold. You know, I had that pike and that smallmouth in the last half hour probably, and I don't know, it actually wasn't that bad. I spent some time, I had a couple of phone calls I had to take, so I was out for an hour and 45 minutes, probably spent 20 minutes running around, so I probably only fished for like an hour and 15 minutes with the phone calls mixed in. So really not too bad, if you ask me. Not for this time of year. Very cold water temps, and yeah, I had a good time. Guys, go check out that Berkeley Money Badger. It's a pretty legit crankbait. I'll put the link in the description for you, and stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow.